Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, God of Heroics, and today we are doing a review of an episode 10 of Dragon Ball Daima. Now, this episode has a lot of important information, some lore-heavy stuff that coincides with information that we have in Dragon Ball Super, and some stuff that helps out a little bit, working together with the theory that I crafted in a previous video about Demon King Piccolo, and just some general information that we need to know here and there, and some speculation that I've been having about Majin Cou. Anyway, without further ado, we're about to get started. So if you like these kind of videos, please like the video, subscribe to the page, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of all future uploads. I'm trying to hit 500 by the end of the year, and we're a little over halfway there, so if you could help me out, I would greatly appreciate that. So let's get started. This episode picks up pretty much where the last one ends. Majin Cou is about to start battle with Tamagami number 1. Now, there's one thing that happened in this particular episode that let me know that he was not going to win this, and no, it was not Tamagami 1 basically no diffing Majin Cou. See, here's the thing. From what we have seen and what I understand from the Dragon Ball franchise, Majin Buu was very powerful, but when he was fighting Goku, he obviously was being very playful, but he wasn't really fighting, and you can tell by his reactions that him and Goku were having a pretty good match. But the only difference here is that because of Majin Buu's rubbery body and his hyper regeneration, he basically has infinite stamina, so he would be able to defeat Goku in the long run, while Goku would have to make it a short battle and defeat him as soon as possible if he really wanted to win. However, since that arc, Goku and Vegeta have been training, so I would like to believe that they are relative to Buu at his strongest, or even stronger than that. Now, they haven't lost any power since being turned into kid size. They're just kid sized. So when Goku fought Tamagami number 3, who I would like to believe is at least kind of relative to Tamagami 1, maybe a little bit weaker if the Tamagamis do get stronger from World 3 to 2 to 1. Goku had to go Super Saiyan to pretty much end the battle quickly, as he seemed pretty even with Tamagami number 3 in his base form. So, Majin Cou, who is basically just a reincarnated version of Buu, or recreation of Majin Buu, but with a Cyberman base, I pretty much figured that he wasn't going to have the infinite stamina and the hyper regeneration that Majin Buu has. However, he does have the goofiness, he does have the pretty crazy fight style, and very likely all the same power output. And a lot of his moves are very erratic and explosive, which I assumed would be the case since he has a Cyberman base, and now we get to see pretty much a lot more abilities from the Cyberman base that he was created with. However, while his abilities are pretty cool and his fight is pretty interesting, and seeing the way he fights reminds me of Kid Buu, well, they cut away from his fight to go show us some other stuff. So that let me know, like, he really wasn't going to win this fight. It's just they were going to be showing us parts of the battle here and there up until the point where he loses, which, spoiler alert, he does lose. He surrenders. So while he is powerful and he does have the same goofiness and he has a lot of explosive, silly techniques, he, I want to say, is roughly around Kid Buu's strength, but is no challenge to Tamagami number 1. So it cuts to Goku and his group making it to the second demon world, and they make it with no issues because they have the pin number and all that. And then we also get to see Vegeta and them. They got their ship back from the guys that they had to fight in the last episode. A lot happens. This is basically where we get to see Bulma get her obsession with looking younger, as we've seen in Dragon Ball Super, where she uses wishes to make herself look just a little bit younger or make her butt rounder, stuff like that. She gains an obsession for looking younger around this time, and Hybius even says that he'll make Bulma his girlfriend and he doesn't care if she's married. He's pretty down for that, and Vegeta basically tells him, no, that's my wife, I have a problem with it, and we're gonna wish ourselves back to being our normal selves. And that's when Hybius pretty much assumes that Vegeta likes big tits, which he does not say no to. So even Piccolo picks up on this, and it's like, well, you didn't say no. So yeah, I think Vegeta, much like myself, would rather Bulma get back to being her adult self so that she can have her nice tits back, which is an interesting reason to desire to get back to your normal self. But hey, it is what it is, and I can't fault the man. For once, Vegeta and I actually have something in common. Majin Cou does similar battle with Tamagami number one. It is what it is. And one interesting thing that he does do during this battle, he shows off what I assume is going to end up being some of his moves in Sparking Zero when he eventually drops. I'm going to do a whole video on that now that we have more characters who I think is going to make it in for DLC, but that's a video for another time. Anyway, he does this move that is very reminiscent of that tornado attack that Pycon does. uh, there's even a whole meme for it. Well, not a meme, but a whole image for it that went pretty viral on Twitter. But aside from that, Goku and his team, now that they are in the second demon world, get attacked by more gendarmerie soldiers, and it's because King Goma is basically using his magic mirror, magic camera, whatever the hell that thing is called, where he can just see stuff that he's not a part of. He's basically watching the anime with us. So he sees that Goku and friends have made it to the second demon world, and he gets his soldiers to go attack them. Goku destroys all the ships, but in the process, their ship gets damaged and they're flying pretty low, where they get attacked by a Kraken. They did mention the Krakens previously. Shen asked if there were still Krakens there because he is from the second demon world, so he knew about them. And yeah, Glorio confirms that basically, there's still Krakens. Him and Pansy are like, yeah, nothing really changed. It's pretty much the same as it was. So yeah, they get attacked by a Kraken, and Pansy is actually the MVP of this because she goes back into the Gendarmerie ship while the Kraken is crushing it and about to eat it. And she goes in to save the Dragon Ball, and Goku pulls her out. So hell yes, everybody jumps out the ship to save their own lives, and Pansy's like, nah, we need the Dragon Ball. That's, goal number one. So thank God for Pansy. Without their ship, Goku and friends decide to lay low on the old planet Namek, which looks exactly like the current planet Namek, or rather the one that Frieza blew up. Probably still the new planet Namek. So yeah, interesting thing that happens here. We find out that basically the planet Namek that Frieza blew up looked exactly like this planet because when the Nameks fled, they likely took a lot of the trees and plants and stuff to basically create their atmosphere for them, which, I mean, I don't know why I didn't even think of that previously, but yeah, I mean, if they want to survive, they're going to need to bring the plants and stuff to help create their ecosystem, not just any possible wildlife that they may have, like the frogs and whatnot. But yeah, it's good to know that it's just a little world building detail. Goku senses that Vegeta and the others have made it now that they have their plane, so he flies over there to basically tell them to fly higher so they don't have to deal with the Kraken. And I swear this is like the third time Vegeta gets bitched in this series, and we're only 10 episodes in. Goku gets into their ship and tells them, hey, you should fly higher. There's a monster in the water, and that's how we lost our ship. And then Vegeta's like, you're scared of a little monster. And as soon as he says that, almost like this monster was listening in on their conversation, ready for comedic effect, jumps up and attacks at them. And Vegeta is surprised seeing it, and then even when they escape, bro's in a cold sweat, like, oh damn, that thing is massive. And then Goku's like, yeah, we should probably not deal with that, we're not on their level yet. Which got me thinking, like, how strong is the Kraken? Because, like, Goku beat Tamagami 3, so if you're not on the Kraken's level, he's got to be stronger than the Tamagami. So now I'm like, why weren't the Tamagamis used as the guardians that nobody can beat? Just use the freaking Krakens. Like, they're clearly more powerful, but semantics. Anyway, Goku brings the gang over to New Planet Namek, old Planet Namek. Let's call it Old Namek. There's Old Namek, Namek, and New Namek. All right, good. So Goku takes them to Old Namek, where everybody else is, and now officially the gang is all here. And we get some pretty important lore-heavy stuff here. So we're going to go over every detail right now. So Bulma hears Pansy calling Supreme Kai Nahare, and she's like, oh, okay, well, what's a Nahare? And they tell her, like, that's, his real name, his name when he was a Glint back here in the demon world. And then there's also this thing that goes on where they ask Piccolo if he feels at home, because now they're on Old Namek, and Piccolo's like, well, my father's the one who grew up here, so I mean, I don't remember this place, but it does feel familiar. And pretty sure it feels familiar because again they basically use old Namek as a base for creating current new Namek and Namek. So, interesting thing here. I'm glad he said that because I'm pretty sure in my theory about Demon King Piccolo that I said that he likely grew up there a little bit, probably when they were younger, before the Nameks fled for the sake of having their own freedom. So this is where we get the pretty heavy lore drop that coincides with Dragon Ball Super. Bulma asks Nahare, or Supreme Kai, if he's one of the Glens that escaped out to the outer worlds, and he says yes, and she asked why. So he's like, yeah, I can tell you guys it's a really long story if you guys want to hear it. Goku doesn't give a shit and a half, but I'm here for the lore, and apparently so is Bulma, because she asked to hear every word of it. So basically, the Nameks left because they basically were treated like slaves and they did not want to be slaves. It's not even just a matter of they didn't want to be ruled by the Demon King or the Supreme Demon King, they just didn't want to be treated like slaves. So yeah, good for them. They left, created Namek, and then later on New Namek after Frieza booming their planet. So what he tells us is that originally there was the Demon World, and the Supreme King of the Demon World, who was actually before Dabura's dad. I don't know how many kings before Dabura's dad. Probably just the one king before, or two kings, three kings before, who knows. Anyway, before Dabura's dad, there was another king who asked Rimus, who is the highest authority of creation. So there is obviously the Omni King, who is Zeno, who can create and destroy universes and planets and anything in between. And he has a superior who is Rimus, who is very likely, I don't know, probably his father or something. And so the Supreme Demon King, asked Rimus to create other universes because he wanted to expand the demon realm just outside of the basic demon world. So Rimus, I guess out of respect, because he doesn't have to really answer to this guy, out of some kind of respect, he creates these other universes, and then members of the demon world go out to cultivate these different universes. And the Glens were selected, not all of them, but a good amount of them were selected to go to these different universes and watch over the different sections of their universes as a means of monitoring what's going on and make sure things don't get too out of hand. And that's where the Supreme Kais came from. Now, while this is the case, not everybody who was on the outer worlds are descendants of the demon realm, because apparently other mortal races were created to fill up space in those universes, and I want to assume that was done by Zeno. So when Abra, who was Dabura's dad, took over, he feared the potential threats of beings from the outside realm coming into the demon realm, so he cut off basically everybody from going in and out without special permission. So Warp Sama was no longer used for anyone to just go and come as they please, but it was only used for demons to go and come with special permission. I assume that had to be verified through him or his subordinates, which would be pretty much anybody that works for the first, second, or third world demon kings. The Glens that were still in the demon world ended up revolting against Abra's tyrannical rules and cruel circumstances, so they basically revolted and left the demon world. Shortly after that, Nahare was decided to be the Supreme Kai for Universe 7, which is pretty much where that ends. Aside from that, Goku tells them that the Glens are born from trees, and Nahare basically tells us that pretty much everything on the Supreme Kai planet is destroyed. There are no more trees, so basically the Supreme Kais that currently exist, or the Glens that currently exist, are the only Glens that are alive, and their race will basically die out, unfortunately. Bulma asks if he wants to go back to his planet. He says no. To be honest, I feel like they're going to end up going back there eventually, and they're probably going to find like seeds or some way to like revamp the planet so that Glens can come back, because it does kind of suck that they're basically the end of their own race. I know they live a long time, but they can't produce sexually. They're only asexually born through the trees. So yeah, it does kind of suck that they're the only ones that can exist. Anyway, aside from this pretty much nothing super crazy important happens. Majin Cou um, tells Aritsu that he's sorry that he couldn't defeat Tamagami number 1 after he surrenders the fight. She basically tells him you're fired, but he's like, no, I have other uses. Please don't fire me immediately. And after they're gone, the Gendarmerie soldiers show up and they're like, hey, I thought I heard a commotion over here, but there's no signs of the battle, and Tamagami 1 is back in his post, so it doesn't look like anything actually happened. Anyway, when Goku and them get back on the ship or onto the new ship, well, the one that Vegeta and his group had, basically Bulma decides that Glorios should fly because Glorio's been to Second Dino World. This is Hype's first time being here, so Glorio kind of knows the terrain better. So they go off and fly off, and well, they haven't flown off yet, but they're basically getting ready to leave. And while they're getting ready to leave, Neva actually shows up out the shadows. Not really surprised that he's still here on planet Namek, or old planet Namek, and he kind of just gives this toothy grin, like the kind of face that ugly bastards give. But that's pretty much the end of the episode. We do have some preview shots showing that Vegeta is going to be fighting Tamagami 2, which I think is pretty interesting. I hope Vegeta actually wins this fight, because it's just a long-running joke that Vegeta just gets his ass beat in major battles. Like, he always thinks he's a shit, and then he loses, and then Goku basically comes in and saves the day. And I just want Vegeta to get a win, especially now that he and I are kind of tight because we both like big titties, so I really want to see him take an actual dub, not just beat some minor characters like the Ginyu Force and Android 19. I want him to really do something cold. Like, I want him to win this battle and earn a Dragon Ball for the team. That would be really wicked. Aside from that, that's pretty much everything that happens in this episode. It's a solid episode. It's not, my favorite. I'm glad to see Majin Cou get some battles in. We get to see, what his abilities are like and how he fights. Pretty interesting. Yeah, he doesn't have that infinite stamina thing that Majin Buu had. So unfortunately, yeah, he wasn't able to really keep up in the fight. But also, his attacks weren't really doing much damage anyway. So, I mean, it is what it is. He was heavily outclassed by Tamagami number 1. He basically got no diffed. Aside from that, nothing super crazy happened, and that's pretty much going to do it for this video. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.